Antonio Pierce talked about potentially making a quarterback change earlier in the week, going from Gardner Minshew to Aiden O'Connell, but yesterday said, nope, we're sticking with Minshew. As you guys all remember, Minshew tore up the Browns defense last year when he was with the Indianapolis Colts in the game that P.J. Walker led the comeback victory for the Browns in that game. Looking at what Minshew did against this Browns defense last year, none of us expected it. What changes do Schwartz and company have to make to avoid that same fate happening again this time around?
Well, look, Jim Schwartz, I think it's not as much about Gardner Minshew. It's about, what the defense is their philosophy is. They're going to be aggressive, but sometimes you're going to have to have some wrinkles a little bit. Last year, they gave up big plays to Gardner Minshew. They threw a couple of times where it was one-play scores, and I think it happened 2 or 3 times in that game. Gardner Minshew was also able to kind of scramble. He's able to extend plays, and he's able to, find guys downfield when he does it. So, when you playing a quarterback, and mobile quarterbacks give the Browns a little bit of problems. You go back and look at, obviously, the Ravens game, and when they were here, you take a look at Gardner Minshew. He scrambled a lot in that game. I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns in that game. And the Browns, to me, are very, they get upfield, they do some of those things, and if they can get to the quarterback and put you behind the 8 ball a little bit, it's a downhill game from the rest of the time when you're looking at, especially in terms of the front 4. Myles Garrett's a little bit hobbled. I don't know if they're going to bring that many blitzes, but I do think that they're going to have to play some match coverage in the back end. They're going to have to be able to tackle an open space, and they can't give up large plays, one-play scores like that. Devonte Adams is one of the better receivers in the league. So I think they're going to have to, they're going to have to play discipline. They're going to have to not miss tackles, and when you do get a chance to get home, you have to make those plays. You can't miss plays on the perimeter, and they got to stop getting spread east and west in terms of the jet sweep stuff, and teams have been doing that against them for the last, I would say, 6-7 games successfully.
By the way, I don't know if you guys mentioned this, or I don't even know if it changed till this morning, but the Browns opened as a 1.5-point favorite in this game. And as of this morning, depending on what sports book you look at, they're anywhere from now a 1 to a 1.5-point underdog.
Yeah, we're going to talk about which team should be favored at some point this week. We didn't get to it yesterday, though.
Yeah.
Dustin, what do you got to do to stop Gardner Minshew this time around?
Listen, the Browns have to find a way to sort of keep him in the pocket. You're going to face mobile quarterbacks certainly in this division and throughout the rest of the season. Minshew is not like – he's not Lamar Jackson, but you saw it last year. Like, the guy can certainly take off and run. I honestly think he's in his head a little bit right now too. So I think the Browns have to take advantage of that. I watched the entire game against Carolina this weekend, and I was actually really impressed with the way Carolina was able to pressure him. He did not look comfortable in the pocket. I think it's important early in this game for the Browns to I don't know if they're going to be able to tee off on him, but when I say that, I mean, I would be bringing a lot of pressure if I'm Jim Schwartz, especially early, to try and rattle him. The news out of Las Vegas is that, at least internally, is that Aiden O'Connell is like right there. I mean, the way that Minshew played on Sunday has put the conversation squarely on the quarterback position. And I don't like, they're going to start Minshew in this game, but don't be surprised if O'Connell comes in. He played really well last year as a rookie at times. And that could certainly be a factor in the game. Like, if Minshew starts and gets off to 2 bad series, you could see O'Connell come in. I think O'Connell's got a better arm, and certainly not as mobile. In fact, he's not mobile at all. He's more of a statue back there, but I do think he can pick you apart if you give him time.
What's funny is Minshew played pretty well the week before when they came back and beat the Ravens.
He did.
And
but Adam, there's a reason Minshew is Minshew. Like, Minshew is going to have those. Minshew is like for Ryan Fitzpatrick, dude.
I was just going to say
he's going to have those moments.
Yeah. He's a backup quarterback for a reason. He's not a starter.
He's on a 2-year, $25 million deal. Like, that's he's a very highly paid, like, serviceable starting quarterback in this league.
Yeah, he's in that same category. Fitzpatrick, Jacoby Brissett, these guys who can be starters brief period of time, but ideally they're top-notch backup. So, I mean, yes, Minshew did kill them last year. I think he had better talent around him in Miami. I know they got Devonte Adams, who's great, and he's better than Michael Pittman, but the Colts had Jonathan Taylor, or did they not have Jonathan Taylor for that game?
Yeah, they had,
did, right?
I think it was his first game back.
And they had Zach Moss, who had a great year last year for Indianapolis. So the Raiders running game is not quite as good. They don't have any other, their other receivers are nothing special. This kid, Brock Bowers, the rookie tight end, is good, but he's still a rookie. But I think the question is, will Jim Schwartz learn a lesson from last week with Malik Neighbors, and will he put Denzel Ward squarely on Devonte Adams the whole game?
See, Bo, if you watched the show yesterday, we know we spent 20 minutes on this very topic.
Sorry.
And everyone said
yes, no.
I'll let you guys answer.
Yeah. Listen, when it comes to top flight receivers, he's gonna have to do that. Like sometimes, you have to break tendency a little bit because these guys watch film too. I think we've overestimated how good Martin Emerson and Greg
Newsome.
G New. I tried not to say his nickname because I don't be liking to say his nickname, but I think we've really started to see that those two guys are good corners, but they're not up to the level of Denzel Ward. Both of those guys have flaws in their game, and you watch it the first two games, they're actually picking those guys out and said, listen, this is the mismatch we want. We're gonna put him in motion. We're gonna find Emerson, and we're gonna have a long day on him. This week you got Bowers, and he's a really good player. He's a guy that can run away from you. And by the way, they will dust off the tight end reverse and jet sweep, handing him the football from Georgia. Please believe that's coming, Browns. I'm just let you know that right now. But to me, it's more or less it's less about the Raiders and Minshew and more about what is this Cleveland Browns defense? What are they? Are they the team that we saw last year? Are they the same dominant attacking style defense where it didn't matter who they plugged in, whether it was Shelby Harris or anybody up front, Obo Ankaranko? There's a lot of guys who are not playing up to that standard that they played last year. And I don't think that you can look at Myles Garrett as a guy who you can just challenge and say, okay, we have Myles Garrett, who you're going to block him with, and run him off the edge and he gets triple team. I think they're going to have to do some different things. What happened to some of those twists and texts and stunts? What happened to, guys lining up, standing up? What happened to some of that stuff? I want to see more of that moving forward because I think you're going to have to actually get a little tricky. I know they want to be base and do what they do, but sometimes you got to break tendency a little bit.